cultivate your content to work for you, content that you consume to work for you, versus, you know, mindlessly scrolling and actually not gaining anything from it. Okay, so we have dress number 1. Setting goals and creating a rebrand for yourself has in common is one of my favorite things to talk about, which is showing up for yourself. And I've always wanted one that looks like a literal disco ball. I personally could not choose, so happy New Year's, everyone. It's technically not New Year's Eve yet, but I was getting ready today and I was like, I actually want to try out like what look I want to do for New Year's, because I'm never really that prepared, but this year I am with what I want to wear and everything. And I might as well film a chit-chatty video with you guys talking about New Year's resolutions, potential rebrand for 2024, and kind of just like life, because I haven't filmed anything for YouTube over the holidays and I thought this would be a fun way to catch up. Yes, I look crazy. Don't, you know, take away any makeup tips from me in this video. I'll link all the products I use down below in case you are interested, but I definitely just kind of make it up as I go when I do my makeup. But yeah, this is not really a makeup video. This is a chatty video about life. So first I want to talk about New Year's resolutions, because making a vision board, setting goals, having that, like, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but that feeling of just like, I want to set a billion goals for myself every time there's a new year that comes around. I feel it very strongly every year. But I think the important thing with New Year's resolutions is it's all fun and games, you know, talk about all the things you want to do, build a really great vision board and everything, and then just like forget it exists, because I think so many of us do that, and I've definitely done that a lot in the past, where you just never look back at it and you never revisit those goals. And then the whole point of setting them is kind of pointless. Like, there is no point. The point is gone, because if you're just like building it for the sake of it and you're not actually going to follow through, then really you've just wasted time on setting these goals because you weren't intending, or maybe you were intending to follow through with them, but humans, we're just naturally lazy, you know? And it's actually interesting, the psychology of why we like to set these big goals for ourselves that we may deep down know that like we're not gonna follow through with. I believe when I looked it up online, it was called like the effort paradox. It's kind of talking about how our brains like the idea of effort, like all the ideas of things we want to do, but the reality of actually doing it, we're quite lazy and uncomfortable with, you know, putting that effort in. And with like setting any major goal or changing a behavior like a bad habit or creating a positive habit, we have to go through a period of time that's really uncomfortable when we're making that change. And humans don't really like that feeling of uncomfiness, if that's the right word for it. So we kind of just avoid it once we've set those goals. We say we're gonna do it, and then we just like forget about it, which is crazy. It's crazy that we do that so often. And I used to do that a lot. Like, you'll see, actually, I made a vision board for this year on my channel, and I've done it for a couple of years. And I think like the first one I made for YouTube, yeah, I think it was the first one or so that I made. I definitely was someone who just made it because I enjoyed the idea of putting my goals out in visuals, but I would throw it on and not be like very intentional with like the follow through. And shocking, I didn't accomplish a lot of those goals, versus like the past 2 years where I've been very intentional following through my goals and checking in with them. I have managed to complete a lot more of them each year. So there's definitely, you know, a trick to, I still think you should dream big and set some really big goals, but I also think we need to be realistic with like when we're checking in with them. Are we gonna make them happen? Are we willing to put in the effort and be uncomfortable in those goals to make them happen? You know, like, it's all great to say like, hey, I want to be that person that goes to the gym consistently this year or eats clean, and we write down these great goals and we put like a nice picture of like, you know, someone with like, I don't know, 6-pack of abs, and we're like, hey, we want to look like this by the end of the year. But if we haven't created like a system and realistically set up ways to reach that goal, and we have to kind of like look at ourselves and know our strengths too, like know where you're lazy. For me, I've never been great at taking myself to the gym. I work from home. I like having my routine, being able to go for a walk at lunch and stuff. So I've actually found that working out at home has been better for me this year, because at least I can be consistent with it. Yes, I'm not using crazy machines or anything, but before, you know, I was paying for membership and I wasn't even going. So this has worked a lot better for me, and maybe I can work my way up to being more motivated to go to a gym. But I kind of understood my strengths and what I was willing to do and how to set a system in place to make sure that I actually do it. So, you know, learning what time you do want to work out, working that around your work schedule, and not wasting resources on things that you know that you probably won't follow through with, and trying to like not trick yourself, but train yourself to show up and get uncomfortable in building those habits and actually putting the effort in to follow through with them. And if you look online kind of about the psychology of us setting these crazy large goals for our vision boards and New Year's resolutions as well, a lot of people talk about like the disconnect we have of our future selves. So they kind of talk about how we're biased with our present self, which means we have a hard time, you know, visualizing the difficulties that our future selves will have while going through these goals. Like, we like to put down these big goals and then not think about like the actual steps that our future selves will have to take to make these goals happen in the upcoming year. So yeah, I think when we, you know, set goals for the new year and we create these vision boards, we just need to be really intentional with planning out also how we will reach these goals, like having an idea at least in your mind, staying present with that, and also checking with these goals often and seeing like, do I still agree with like wanting this goal? Is this something I still want? How am I doing? Should I reevaluate, you know, where I'm at? Sorry, I just put way too much eyeshadow primer on my eye. Just aggressively patting that in. Whew. So another topic I kind of want to talk about is, you know, you might have seen a lot of videos talking about like rebrand yourself for 2024. And I actually really like these videos. I think I made one kind of along that lines for last year. I talked about a few of my tips, and I love the idea of like rebranding yourself or making a change. And I love seeing people do that because I really do think we are in control of the way we present ourselves and who we want to be. And so these videos are really inspirational, you know, like take control of your life. If you want to be that person, you know, show up as that person every single day. But similarly to the New Year's resolutions, rebranding ourselves can be a little bit difficult. We might have all these really high expectations for ourselves and, you know, we plan it out, but then again, we fall off track, you know, early on in the year and don't circle back to it. Sorry, I know this is a different angle. My camera was full of space, so I had to move some things off. So yes, I think when we are trying to, you know, control our behavior and develop new habits, it really comes down to planning, because we need to ensure that our desire to change is stronger than how comfortable we feel with how we currently are. So you need to make sure you have a strong desire to follow the plan that you set in place. And I think a good way to ensure that you have the desire to follow your plan is to remind yourself that the short-term pain of being uncomfortable and following the goals you've set out for yourself, or like how you want to be, will be rewarded with long-term change. And so I really think that does apply for things such as like working out, you know, perhaps losing weight, getting stronger. Those are things that really take long-term short actions to produce long-term results, if that makes sense. Whereas I do think there are also some fun ideas that you can follow for, you know, kind of this rebrand for the year, such as being more intentional with perhaps like the scents that you wear, like have a signature scent. For example, I think this year I really finally found one that I love the most and I try to be consistent with, which is like this really nice vanilla scent. I think it's like Skylar Clean Beauty, their vanilla perfume. And then I also try to pair it with like a fun vanilla body lotion or like an almond body lotion, something that's not too overpowering when combined together. So those things can be really fun to like figure out for the year as well. And I think it was like 2 years ago, I actually have like a video, I can link it, it's probably not the best quality, that I made a couple years ago on a challenge that I set out for myself, which was I found, it was really fun. It was like I found these like Pinterest outfits on Pinterest that I really like that people put together. And I was like, okay, I really want to have those pieces in my wardrobe or make that outfit happen. Maybe I already have some of the pieces. And what I would do is I'd pick my favorite outfits that I want to be wearing for the year, and I would figure out if I already had some pieces similar to it in my wardrobe. And if I didn't, I would find a dupe or the original of the one in the photo, and I would save them in like links. And then throughout the year, like if I had a really good work month and I hadn't been spending too much on like going out and seeing friends and stuff, it was all part of like my savings, then I would buy one of the items that goes with that outfit, or two if it's like super affordable. And eventually I would build those very outfits that I saved from my own wardrobe. And it was a really good way to be more intentional of what I was buying for my closet as well, instead of just like going out and shopping and finding something that, you know, might be nice, but I haven't thought about like what it'll pair with, and I don't end up actually like using that clothing item that much. So I do think being intentional in like what we wear, how you dress, what you're buying. So things like your signature scent or even the way you do your makeup, and kind of creating like almost like a uniform for yourself is a really good way to brand yourself and have personal branding. And I actually really want to do a video on personal branding this year, because I think personal branding is extremely important, and it's only becoming more important with how big social media is, how much opportunity there is on social media to create a business for yourself. I think having a personal brand is extremely important, and investing in it, whether that is like, as we said, you know, finding a style for yourself, knowing kind of how you want to represent yourself, the way you want to meet people when you network, you know, what you want to be known for. And then this can lead into other things too, like say for example for myself, I have a freelance business. I felt like it was really important before 2024 started to rebrand my website to fit my own personal brand, and I really wanted to bring more of my personal branding into my business, because also with AI and, you know, all these tools that you can use nowadays, I think the personable parts of business are really, really important, becoming more important. So by bringing your personality into your work, I think, you know, you can find actually a lot of, I guess, success in doing so. So I really do think that's an important topic, and definitely one that I will cover in a video soon. But yeah, I think our personal branding can even help us in our career. Like even if you're working like a 9-to-5, say you're not like a business owner, these things are really important, like how you want to be perceived by others. And I think there are other really cool ways to, you know, have a rebrand this year. Things that I've found fun over the years is I, you know, would pick a topic that I feel like I'm not super knowledgeable on and I want to be more knowledgeable on. I actually have this in like a Notion template in my previous video where, you know, I'll do my like a little mini history session for myself if I have some downtime. I'll be like, hey, I really want to learn about, I don't know, the Roman Empire today. I don't know. And you pick a topic, and then YouTube's a great place for learning as well. And you can pick a video and kind of jot down some notes and kind of teach yourself a little bit more about it. Things like, I remember I wanted to learn poetry for fun, you know? Poetry was something I really enjoyed, but I was like, I want to challenge myself to like memorize some poetry, set some time throughout the week just to like learn and become more knowledgeable on that. Notion is kind of my hub for everything, so if you guys want like a Notion template, definitely check out my last video. I have a whole template where I use like as a hub for everything in my life, including like rebranding ideas such as like topics I want to learn. I use this app called, I think, the Word of the Day, so every day I learn a new word to help expand my vocabulary. There's just things that I feel like we can always do to improve ourselves and just to always be learning. And technology makes it really easy for us to all do that these days. It's just, you know, again, being intentional with following through with that, and also finding things that make it easy. Like that little Word of the Day app, I have it as like a widget on my top of my front screen so that I'm seeing it every day as soon as I open my phone, so I'm not like avoiding it and forgetting that that app exists. I also think it's really important to think about what kind of content we consume on a daily basis. So I remember, I think it was during COVID that I first became more intentional with this. I went through and was like, okay, I'm following all these people on Instagram. Let's narrow it down to things that I like want to learn about and find important, you know? Yes, it's nice to follow people who take gorgeous content, pretty pictures and everything like that, but I started following a bunch more of these like art history Instagram accounts, and now when I see their posts, they usually have like a little bit about the art and the time period it came from, and these things that I want to learn about. You can follow more like news related Instagram accounts or things that have to do with topics you want to learn more about. There's so many different ways that you can cultivate your content to work for you, the content that you consume to work for you, versus, you know, mindlessly scrolling and actually not gaining anything from it. These apps should be working for you instead of you just giving your time to them. And then I think there's other ways to build your personal brand that might take a little bit longer, besides, you know, working out and the physical parts that take longer as well. But things such as like working on confidence, that's something I really wanted to work on this year in 2024. I have a podcast called The Empowerment Hour, if you guys want to check it out, where I share a lot of advice with this, where my friend and I, we decided to go to more networking events. And we talk about it on the podcast a lot, but like the first networking event we went to, we did not talk to anyone, okay? It's like shy, it was new. Hadn't been to like networking events since I was like in university. And then each time we went, we set like a new goal for ourselves. Like, okay, next event, we're gonna talk to one of the speakers, and then we're gonna talk to one of the people attending. And then after that, we're gonna talk to 2 more people, and we're gonna get their LinkedIn, and we're gonna like connect with them. And we set new goals each time, and it does really help when you do this in a buddy system, like a friend. But if you can't bring a friend, I say still do it, because the only way you can build confidence is through practicing and becoming more confident in what you're trying to do. So whether that's public speaking or meeting new people, you have to put yourself out there in order to grow. So yeah, my advice is definitely like find places in your area that you can go to and make the effort to like, maybe it's just once a month that you're going to a networking event. Maybe even honestly, this is probably something I should do this year. I should start going to networking events alone because that's another way to build confidence. This is an entirely different situation versus, you know, going with a friend. There's literally so many different ways that you can push yourself out there and help rebrand yourself. You know, I think even if I did winged eyeliner every day my entire life until I'm like in my 80s, I would still struggle. I can never do the perfect wing. So, you know, one common theme I think setting goals and creating a rebrand for yourself has in common is one of my favorite things to talk about, which is showing up for yourself. And what I mean by this is when you tell yourself that you're going to do something, which is why I think it's really important to be careful with what you tell yourself you're going to do. So if you say tomorrow, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m., going to go to the gym, I'm gonna get my reading done, I'm gonna journal, I'm gonna be this person who's gonna eat super clean, I'm gonna do everything tomorrow, and then you end up hitting the alarm and snoozing and you don't do any of what you said you were going to do, you are basically telling yourself that you don't believe in yourself, that you don't value the things that you say you're going to do. And I like to think of it as how you would treat a best friend or a family member or really anyone in life, like even your boss. If you are talking to them, you're like, I'm gonna get this done by this deadline, and then you don't, people will lose faith in you. You would lose your job. You'll probably lose your friend if you do that long enough and really upset a family member. So you have to look at like the relationship you have with yourself as even more important than those relationships. So by, you know, telling yourself you're going to do something and then you don't, you're basically training your brain to like not believe in you and not trust you. And that will trickle into so many areas of your life. And I've definitely seen a major difference, you know, even in the way my life has been in the last few years when I really started to think about this, especially this year. There's so many things and goals that I set for myself that I think I managed to accomplish because I started, you know, applying this mindset to everything I told myself I was going to do. And there are definitely little things that you can do to try and make this easier for yourself. So I talk about it in previous videos, like becoming a morning person, you know, setting out your workout clothes the night before. I got myself this sunrise alarm clock this year that really helped me wake up earlier. Or even, you know, setting limits on your screen time. That's something I really want to work on this year, and scrolling less. Even deleting an app if you need to, if you're spending too much time on it. And I think that's also a video that I might make soon, is just talking about, as I said, making social media and the content you consume work for you instead of just, you know, throwing your time away and not gaining any value from it. So ultimately, treat yourself as like your dearest friend. Have respect for yourself. And when you want something and you acknowledge that, make sure that you don't just bail out on yourself and refuse to show up for doing the required steps. Like, make sure you follow through with the promises you make to yourself. So I just finished my makeup. I had to do the last part off camera because I'm terrible at gluing anything on my eyes really, but especially I found these kind of tricky. These are the individual lashes instead of like a full false lash. And in some ways they're better because I only added like one long one and two little medium ones on the end, which are a little less noticeable when you mess them up versus like a full fake lash. Still tricky though. I'm gonna try to get the hang of them. I'm glad I'm like practicing this before actual New Year's Eve. But talking about showing up for yourself this year, that's why I wanted this whole theme of this video to be, you know, us talking about that, because I always wanted to spend my New Year's Eve in like a super sparkly dress. And this year I found two. Actually, I couldn't decide between each one. So I got both of them, and I'm going to, you know, make sure that I wear them on New Year's Eve, celebrate with some friends, and just do that because I've always wanted to do that for myself. And so I encourage any of you, if there's anything you really want to do to celebrate New Year's Eve, to follow through with that promise for yourself so that you can start 2024, you know, showing up for yourself and starting the year strong. So I know it's like a small thing to do for yourself, but I'm gonna actually quickly go change into both dresses and see how they look. And let me know in the comments below which one's your favorites. And also let me know what you guys are doing for New Year's Eve. I'm curious to hear it. So I'm just gonna quickly go change and I'll show you guys the dresses. Okay, so we have dress number one, which is this very beige, sparkly dress, which I love, but actually my least favorite part is I realized the zip on the back. It's not a super expensive dress, so the zip is a little bumpy. Like, it's not perfect, but I love the color enough and like the style that maybe we can excuse it. It goes down to like my mid, I guess, calf. Is that how I describe it? And I'm wearing these little like cream shoes with it because these shoes are extremely comfortable, and I feel like comfort is the most important thing for me on a night out. But yes, I don't know how I'd style my hair or anything like that with this dress. But let me know what you think of it. I'll show you guys the second option as well. My next dress is this silver one, which is exactly the type of one I had in mind. I've always wanted one that looks like a literal disco ball. So I was gonna pair it, because it's kind of cold here, with some black tights, because it only goes to like the thigh. And then these little like Mary Jane black shoes that I've been dying to wear all year. And yeah, I'd almost wear it just because I like these shoes so much. But this is the second look. Again, I don't know what kind of jewelry or hair I would pair with this outfit, but let me know what you guys think. Which one was your favorite? Did you like the gold beigey toned one, or are you more of a fan of the silver disco ball sparkly dress look? I personally could not choose, so I would love to hear what you guys think. I think I'm just gonna choose at the last minute, or if this video goes up before then, perhaps I may just, you know, choose based on everyone else's favorite. But yeah, I hope you guys all have an amazing New Year's. I hope that 2024 is great to all of us, and that we all show up for ourselves, and yeah, have a fantastic year. I will see you guys all in 2024. Mwah. Bye guys.